Ladies, we're about to dive into something that might feel a little raw, a little intimate, but incredibly important if you're looking to understand the deeper layers of your partner's desires. We're going to talk about the types of sex that men dream about. Yes, you heard that right. The fantasies that play out in their minds when the world isn't watching. Now, before you start wondering if this is just a curiosity or something more, let's break it down, shall we? First, we've got the emotional connection fantasy. For many men, their ultimate fantasy isn't just about the physical act. It's about the depth of connection. They crave intimacy, not just with their bodies, but with their hearts. When they dream about sex, it's often wrapped in trust, tenderness, and emotional vulnerability. It's about finding that woman who makes them feel seen, heard, and valued, not just desired. So don't be surprised if your partner's fantasies sometimes revolve around moments where the emotional connection feels just as important as the physical one. Second, let's talk about variety. Yes, the new factor. Men often fantasize about a different experience, a new setting, a new dynamic, a new feeling. It's the thrill of exploring the unknown, of shaking up the routine. And while you might think it's about them not being satisfied, it's often about the human need for novelty. It's about the excitement of the unknown, the spark of the unfamiliar. But here's the key. They're not looking to replace you. They're simply looking for a different experience, a new way to feel alive. Then we have the power dynamics fantasy. This one can be tricky because it plays on the deepest, sometimes unspoken desires we all have about control and surrender. For some men, the fantasy involves stepping into a role of dominance or submission, exploring power dynamics that might not be expressed in their day-to-day life. But remember, this isn't about disrespect. It's about role-playing in a way that allows them to escape, express control, or even let go of control. It's not a reflection of what they want in real life. It's just a different layer of their psychological makeup. Next, we have the comfort and safety fantasy. In the world of dreams, sometimes men fantasize about being with someone who makes them feel completely at ease, where the focus isn't on performance or expectations, but rather on safety and trust. In this fantasy, it's not about pushing limits or stepping out of bounds. It's about finding a space to just be. It's about feeling loved, appreciated, and accepted for who they truly are. And lastly, there's the fantasy of being wanted and desired. Men, like anyone else, need validation. And sometimes their fantasies revolve around the idea of being the object of desire, of being wanted desperately, passionately, unconditionally. It's not just about being desired for their physical traits, but for who they are. Men want to feel needed, to feel that they're the ones who fulfill something important in your life. This can be one of their most vulnerable dreams, because at the core of this fantasy is a desire for self-worth. Now, I want to be clear about something. These fantasies, these dreams, they are just that, fantasies. They don't necessarily translate into reality. What your partner dreams about doesn't always align with what he wants in his real relationships. And just like us, men have their own insecurities and vulnerabilities. The key to understanding their desires is communication. So if you find that his fantasies lean into some of these categories, rather than feeling threatened, see it as an opportunity to engage in a conversation where you both can feel safe, heard, and respected. Ladies, the world of men's fantasies is as complex as the world of women's desires, and understanding it only makes the relationship richer. So next time you catch him daydreaming or hear him share his deepest desires, remember, it's not always about you doing something differently. It's about creating a space where both of you can be free to explore, free to connect, and most importantly, free to be yourselves. So go ahead, Ask him about his dreams, his fantasies, and dive deep. Because when you understand what he's dreaming about, you can create a relationship that's not just built on physical attraction, but on emotional connection, trust, and true intimacy. Men often dream of something deeper in their fantasies than what might first appear on the surface. It's not always just about physical attraction or pleasure. It can be about emotional connection, a yearning for closeness and trust that goes far beyond the bedroom. This dream of emotional intimacy often revolves around the desire to feel truly seen, understood, and valued by their partner. When men think about sex, they are not simply picturing physical acts, but are subconsciously longing for moments where they can be emotionally vulnerable, where the barriers that they often put up in their daily lives fall away, leaving them exposed and open in a way they rarely allow themselves to be. Imagine a space where there's no judgment, no expectations, just pure connection. It's in those rare moments when they can let go of the mask they wear in the outside world and surrender to the emotional safety that comes from being with someone who understands them at their core. It's a dream where intimacy isn't only about the physical, it's about feeling valued, emotionally nurtured, and connected. For many men, this type of intimacy is often underexplored or misunderstood in relationships. They want to be able to share their insecurities, fears, and vulnerabilities without feeling like they are losing their masculinity or strength. This isn't about weakness. It's about finding a partner who doesn't just see them for what they can offer physically, but as a whole person. A person with emotional depth and layers that go far beyond the surface. In their dreams, they crave someone who doesn't just desire them for their body, but for who they are as a person. They dream of a partner who creates an environment where they feel comfortable expressing their true selves, without the fear of being judged or misunderstood. This kind of emotional connection allows them to feel like they belong, not just in a romantic relationship, but in a deeper, more significant way. When they fantasize about sex, the physical act often serves as the backdrop for this larger, more meaningful connection. The desire to connect emotionally is one of the most profound and powerful aspects of male fantasies, something that is often overshadowed by society's focus on physicality. So, when you consider the deeper layers of male fantasies, remember that at their core, many men long for an emotional connection that makes them feel seen, heard, and understood, not just physically desired. They want to know that they are valued for their emotions, their thoughts, and their vulnerability, not just their body. And that is a dream worth paying attention to. For many men, variety is not just an exciting novelty. It's an essential element of their desires. This craving for new experiences, new scenarios, and a break from the routine can run deep. It's not about dissatisfaction with the present. It's about the human instinct to explore the unknown, to experience life from different angles. When they dream, it's often a reflection of this yearning for variety. The idea of something new, something that challenges the status quo, taps into a part of their psyche that thrives on excitement and discovery. It's the allure of the unexpected, a desire to step outside of the usual and into a space where everything feels fresh and thrilling. This doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship itself isn't fulfilling. It often reflects the human need for change and novelty. The same way someone might travel to a new place or try a different hobby to break away from the everyday monotony, many men are wired to crave experiences that are different from the ones they're accustomed to. In their fantasies, they might imagine new settings, different roles, or scenarios that stir their imagination. It could be a change in scenery, a different room, an exotic location, or perhaps a role reversal, where they can explore a dynamic that's new and exciting. It's this feeling of breaking free from the ordinary that draws them in. But it's not just about escaping their current reality. It's also about the excitement that comes with exploring uncharted territory. They fantasize about situations that challenge them, that push them to feel something they haven't felt before. It's about the thrill of discovering something new about themselves and their partner, something that adds a sense of adventure to their intimacy. Men might dream of something as simple as a change in the rhythm or intensity of physical connection, but it's often deeper than that. It's about creating a new connection, one that's more alive and electric because it's unexpected. In this way, variety becomes more than just a superficial craving. It's about creating moments that feel special and unique. Moments that remind them that their relationship can still evolve, can still surprise them. These fantasies are not an indictment of the relationship as it is, but rather a reflection of a desire to keep things vibrant, spontaneous, and full of life. And when given the space to explore these fantasies, men feel more energized, more connected, and more alive in their real-life relationships. It's the magic of variety that keeps things exciting and the fire of attraction burning strong. In the realm of male fantasies, the idea of power dynamics plays a fascinating role. Not just about control or dominance, it's about a deeper, more psychological exploration of self and the dynamics between two people. For some men, fantasies that involve power, whether they take on the role of the dominant partner or surrender to a more submissive position, tap into something primal and raw. These fantasies offer a safe space to explore the boundaries of control and surrender, where they can step outside the conventional roles they typically play in everyday life. The appeal isn't necessarily rooted in wanting to control someone else, but rather in experiencing a shift from their usual self-perception and expectations. For many men, the act of stepping into a more dominant role can feel empowering. It allows them to express strength and confidence in ways that are often confined to the external world. There's an element of freedom in assuming control, of being able to direct the energy between two people in ways that feel exciting and assertive. But the allures isn't just about taking the lead. It's also about how this dynamic can create an intense connection. Men who fantasize about these power roles may not always want to dominate in real life, but the fantasy gives them a chance to explore that energy in a safe, consensual environment. On the flip side, some men may fantasize about being in a more submissive role. This can feel like a release from the pressures of life, where they are no longer expected to be in control or carry the weight of responsibility. Submitting to a partner in their fantasies can offer a sense of relief, a break from the constant demand to perform, be strong, and lead in these fantasies. They might imagine a scenario where their partner takes charge, creating a dynamic that shifts the power balance in a way that is both intriguing and thrilling. What makes power dynamics in fantasy so compelling is the way they stretch the boundaries of intimacy. These fantasies allow individuals to explore what it feels like to let go, to challenge the norms, and to understand the complexity of control in a relationship. It's not about domination for the sake of domination. It's about understanding the roles we play, how we navigate power, and what it means to trust someone enough to explore these deep, sometimes unspoken desires. It's in these moments that true intimacy can be discovered, where vulnerability, trust, and connection intersect in the most unexpected of ways. In the realm of male fantasies, there's a desire that often goes unnoticed, the craving for comfort and safety. It may sound surprising, especially when compared to the more common ideas of excitement and adventure. But for many men, their ideal fantasy is not about exploring new territory or stepping into different roles. Instead, it's about feeling emotionally safe, secure, and at ease with a partner. Men dream of spaces where they can drop their guard, let go of their usual roles, and experience sex as a peaceful, intimate connection, free of pressure or expectation. Imagine a setting where the world outside doesn't matter, where there are no external demands or judgments, just two people existing in a bubble of complete trust. For many men, This type of fantasy is grounded in the yearning for intimacy, without the fear of performance or rejection. It's about knowing that their partner is there, not for what they can provide, but for who they are. These fantasies often involve moments of tenderness, of simple, slow connection, where the act itself becomes a quiet, sacred ritual. There's no rush, no need to impress, just a gentle coming together in a space of emotional openness and comfort. For some men, this fantasy of safety is an antidote to the pressures of their daily lives, where they often feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. In the real world, they may constantly be performing, achieving, and striving to meet expectations, whether personal or societal. But in their fantasies, they imagine a space where they don't have to be on all the time. They don't have to be strong or assertive. They can just be themselves. This doesn't mean they are looking for a passive experience, but rather one where they don't feel the need to constantly prove themselves. It's a safe place where vulnerability is welcomed, not feared. What makes these fantasies so powerful is that they're rooted in trust and emotional security. It's a desire to feel loved and accepted for who they are at their core, without needing to put on any facades. It's about the purity of connection, no masks, no facades, just two people sharing an intimate moment in a space where they can both be completely real. And often, this fantasy reflects a longing to bring that feeling of comfort into the real world, where vulnerability is just as important as desire. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest fantasies are not the most daring or unconventional ones. They're the ones that allow us to feel truly safe and at peace. Men, like anyone else, are deeply driven by a need to feel wanted and desired, and this powerful fantasy often takes center stage in their private thoughts. It's not just about physical attraction, it's about being emotionally craved, yearned for, and seen as an essential part of someone else's world. When men dream about being desired, it's more than just the act of sex. It's the profound sense of being wanted on a level that goes beyond appearance or performance. It taps into the desire to feel important, to feel that their presence makes a difference in their partner's life. This type of fantasy often revolves around moments where they are the object of intense, almost desperate longing. It's the fantasy of being pursued, not just physically, but emotionally. Being wanted in a way that is all-consuming. It's a sense of validation that many men crave, the feeling that someone desires them so deeply that they can't help but express that need. For some men, this feeling of being wanted is what makes them feel validated in their worth, both as a partner and as an individual. It's not about attention for the sake of it. It's about feeling that they matter to someone, that they have an impact on their partner's emotions in a way that is undeniable. These fantasies often don't just dwell on the idea of attraction, they go deeper into the need for emotional connection and acknowledgement. It's the fantasy of being seen, truly seen, as someone worthy of love, attention, and care. This goes beyond just the physical realm. It's about the emotional recognition that fuels their desire to feel significant in their partner's life. For many men, the desire to be wanted is tied to a deeper fear of being overlooked or forgotten, and these fantasies offer them a way to explore and confront those emotions in a safe, imagined space. At the heart of this fantasy is a longing to feel irreplaceable, to know that their partner's attention is solely focused on them. It's about feeling chosen, cherished, and necessary in a way that makes them feel complete. This need for desire is not about shallow admiration, it's about emotional security, knowing that they are the person their partner turns to when they want to feel loved and valued. In a world where men are often expected to be strong, assertive, and self-reliant, this fantasy offers them a chance to experience a type of connection that is purely about feeling deeply wanted. Something that for many is a powerful and transformative emotional experience. The line between fantasy and reality is often blurred. especially when it comes to the things that people desire most. For many men, the fantasies they explore aren't necessarily reflective of their real-life desires, but more about the escape and thrill that these scenarios offer. Fantasy provides a space where they can experience a world free from judgment, where their deepest urges and desires can be expressed without the constraints of everyday life. It's a realm where the rules don't apply, where they can indulge in scenarios and experiences that are far removed from what they would seek in their real relationships. In these dreams, men often explore parts of themselves that they wouldn't necessarily reveal in their daily lives. They might imagine themselves in situations that are wildly different from their reality, where their desires take on a new form. These scenarios allow them to explore emotions, roles, and experiences that are safe within the confines of their minds, but may not be things they would actively pursue in reality. The beauty of fantasy is that it offers a chance for exploration without consequence, a space where they can push boundaries and test limits without fear of judgment or rejection. However, there's an important distinction to make. What men fantasize about often doesn't have anything to do with dissatisfaction in their real relationships. Instead, these fantasies are an exploration of something new, something that excites them or allows them to feel a rush of emotions they might not typically encounter. It could be the thrill of the forbidden, the allure of an unattainable experience, or simply the fantasy of a scenario where they can explore different emotions or desires outside the realm of their everyday interactions. In real life, these fantasies rarely translate directly into action. The excitement is often found in the exploration itself, in the freedom to indulge in a scenario without any need to act on it. Men are drawn to these fantasies because they allow them to experience emotions and desires without the weight of expectations or consequences. And perhaps, most importantly, these fantasies help to keep the spark alive in their relationships, not by creating dissatisfaction, but by offering them a space to maintain the mystery and excitement of the unknown. They can return to their real relationships with a renewed sense of connection, knowing that their fantasies are a part of them, not a reflection of dissatisfaction or unhappiness.